Respected scholars, academics, and my dear sisters and brothers, before I proceed, I would like to counsel myself and everybody here with the God consciousness, the taqwa of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, which is the key to all success. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the noble Quran, "O you who believe, fear Allah as He should be feared and die not except being in the state of Al-Islam." Respected elders and my dear brothers and sisters, we've been talking about a very important subject today, and that is the issue of divorce. We have noticed and observed the divorce has increased on an alarming rate in the recent time. Everybody's rushing towards the breakup and divorce, especially throughout the pandemic. We have seen the rise of divorce everywhere, especially where we are living. Islam considers divorce to be one of the most disliked permissible action. It is allowed when it's a necessity, a darura, but it is one of the most detested and disliked permissible action in the religion of Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He didn't reveal a surah in the name of zawaj, the marriage. However, He revealed a surah in the name of at-talaq, divorce, due to its complexity, sensitivity, and because of the effects and aftermath and consequences of divorce. And therefore Allah the Almighty revealed a chapter known as chapter divorce, at-talaq. Unfortunately, in our time, people take marriage very lightly, as though it's any other relationship, like a friendship. Okay, we can get married and no problem, we can break up if needed, because nobody's in need of no one here. So therefore people are taking this holy, sacred contract and relationship very lightly. Many of us, we think probably divorce or breakup is the only solution. And therefore we go for we have seen our elders, our forefathers, the last thing probably they would ever imagine is divorce. But today, in our time, the first thing our brothers and sisters, especially young youth, and probably even the old and adults, we think as though the first solution. Now, I would like to mention there are some of the reasons for why divorces are taking place. Number one, I would like to say there is a lack of rahmah in people's heart, mercy, the kindness. وَعَاشِرُوهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. Be kind with them, merciful, treat them, husband and wife, both treat each other well and with kindness. But unfortunately, rahmah is missing from the hearts of people today. In this world that we're living, in the hostile world, rahmah plays a vital role. Mercy plays a vital role in whatever we do, in every relationship, in every transaction, in every dealing, and every code of conduct. Then we say lack of patience. Sabr is almost missing. Quran is full of patience, sabr. You go to the Quran and you find repeatedly, ayat after ayat, speaking about the rewards of patience, tolerance, the forbearance, those primary qualities of a believer missing. And therefore, people are rushing towards the breakup, rushing to end. People have no patience, no tolerance. Why? Because we have not been trained and we have not been in the company of the good people in order to educate ourselves and train ourselves to have those primary qualities. Then we have maybe sometimes difference of personalities. People are different, but then that can be worked out. Maybe we can sit and discuss and find solutions how we can respect each other's personality and each other's feeling. Number three, I would like to say there are lots of external interference in marriages. There are people who are interfering, family members, close relatives, interfering in couples' relationship, and which leads to the breakup. We see some mother-in-laws, some father-in-laws, sometimes we see they involve too much into the relationship of couple, and which leads to a lot of problem. Then we find humans waswasa. The human being can give waswasa too, like shaitan. We see, and sometimes our sisters and our brothers go and speak to others and they get information from here and there, and believe me, sometimes they get brainwashed without considering their own situation. Everybody's different, everybody's circumstance is different, everybody's journey is different. You cannot compare yourself with others because we're all different in our own ways. So human waswasa is a cause. Then you find lack of rida, no satisfaction, no inner happiness. Everybody's expecting, everybody's looking for the Miss Perfect and Mr. Perfect, which doesn't exist in this world. You think, oh, I'm gonna divorce and I'm gonna break up and go and get married again. Do you think it's that easy? There are people, broke up and then they waited and they stopped. They waited for years until probably some couldn't find any. So rida isn't there. Satisfaction, rida bil qaleel, being happy with whatever you have. You're not gonna get everything in this world. Believe me, no matter where you go, even if you become a king or prince or the richest man and billionaire, see and check the life of some of the richest and some of the people who are on those kind of levels, really. So rida needs to be there. Everybody has to sacrifice. A lot of misunderstanding and miscommunication between the couple, and sometimes language barrier, cultural difference. That should be again worked out. There's a solution. We can find ways. Sometimes it's just a communication. You say one thing in English which is offensive in Arabic or offensive in another language, or Urdu or African language, but probably the person didn't mean it. So sometimes there's a really language barrier. Small words can lead to big problems. Then we find also mental health, which is on rise today, and that's causing incredible amount of problems. People may think it's just problems on the ground, but many of them are actually underlying problems, and we have to really look into them. A lot of time it can be also connected to the sihr, black magic, which is not the only thing as some assume. The first thing comes to is all black magic. No, there are multiple problems that people can have, but black magic can be one of them. Also, lack of deen, the religion, the practice of the deen and understanding of the religion. We do practice Islam very outwardly, but really inwardly, from inside. How many of us believe? And how many of us we are happy to accept the teaching of Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, especially when it comes to our social and family life? We tend to reject many of those things. We also would like to mention the effects of the marriage. Effect of the divorce. Divorce can dismantle a whole entire family. Effects on person's physical and mental health. Effects on career. People can't concentrate on their job. People that sometimes think, oh, it's so easy, but when it happens, that's when you feel the effect. People cannot concentrate on their work and jobs. Sometimes people lose the job. Others get into addiction, intoxication. Some may get into drugs and alcohol. Some even may get into haram relationship, like a relationship that Allah prohibits. It can affect our children very severely, and not only that, our grandchildren and the generations to come. I've seen and observed the effect of a breakup goes down to the generations. Really, it happens. All of these things I'm saying, not to say that divorce is haram and it must not take place, but what we are saying here, that it has a very damaging effect, which we don't think at the time we do, but really it has the generations to come. And it's like, you can see like when the pillar of a building breaks up, demolished, then everything else falls. And similarly, that's what exactly it is. Now, there are ways we can deal with our marital problems, especially when it comes to talaq. First of all, brothers and sisters, increase our knowledge about Quran and Sunnah, because we have solution to our problems, but we don't want to accept, we don't want to listen, we don't want to obey. It's just all about cherry picking, pick and choose. I take what suits me, and then rest I leave it to on other things, culture and other things. So we need to really wholeheartedly accept the teaching of Islam. Make lots of dua. Sometimes we don't understand the importance and the benefit of dua. Dua is powerful, supplication, asking Allah, the divine intervention. Sometimes everything falls on the ground. Allah can help you and guide you. There can be ways. Allah Fattah, opener of the gates, and He can open the gates from nowhere. Get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ask Allah for the solution. He can open the doors, inshallah. People can change, hearts change, individuals change, human beings are changing beings. We can all change towards the better if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. Increase the level of patience and tolerance and forbearance and mercy. Remember I said kindness. Kindness honestly saves many things. When there's no rahmah, everything khalas, like you give up. There's no mercy, there's no rahmah. It's a primary quality. Our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was known as rahmatan lil alameen, the mercy and kindness for the whole entire mankind, whole entire world, the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then also we can get the guidance from the right people. You go and start talking here and there, and everybody will give you wrong information, and they will speak in a way that will even make the situation worse. So you have to speak to the right people, people of knowledge, taqwa, and people of balance and understanding. Not anybody and everybody that will make the situation worse. So you have to speak to the people of knowledge, people of God consciousness, people of taqwa, and people who will not be biased in the situation. And also, I think today we need the marriage counseling, which is the much needed sector in our time, but unfortunately it's become very expensive. Marriage counseling, those who do that, minimum is 50-60 pounds per session, which many people cannot afford. So I think Muslims should come forward, because this is a very important aspect, and especially the businessmen. We should promote and help and assist to open up more marriage counseling sessions where our brothers and sisters can go and discuss the problems very in confidentiality and in details. Because as imams and GPs, there's no time. 10 minutes only GP, what can they do? Imam, how can they do everything? So those kind of sessions need to be increased. And also family involvement can be done, but again, as I said, unfortunately today's time, a lot of family members, they get biased. They don't see the right and wrong. They all take sides. So we have to be careful. If that is the last thing, then that is to be done. Having said all of these things, talaq is still permissible, but it's only when it's a dire necessity, when everything has failed, after giving enough time, and after look at your children. They will be affected, everybody will be affected. But if that needs to be done ultimately, then that's a qadr of Allah. That's a decree of Allah that has to happen. And at that time, we respect one another. We must not look down on one another. Unfortunately, in many cultures, people look down. Oh, divorcee. We speak in that way. No, if it had happened, khalas. Qadar Allahu ma shafa'al. Allah has, this is the decree of Allah. Sometimes it can be a door of mercy. So, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to practice upon what have been said. If I have said anything wrong, it's from me and shaitan. And if I have said anything right, it's from Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. أقول قولي هذا استغفر الله لي ولكم. اللهم ألف بين قلوبنا وأصلح ذات بيننا. اللهم احفظنا فإنك خير الحافظين. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين وارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين. اللهم رب الناس أذهب البأس اشف أنت الشافي لا شفاء إلا شفاؤك شفاء كاملا عاجلا لا يغادر سقما. اللهم يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك نستغيث برحمتك نستغيث برحمتك نستغيث. أصلح لنا شؤوننا كلها ولا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة عين. اللهم اغفر الذنوب واستر العيوب فرج الكروب يا علام الغيوب. تقبل منا تقبل جميع المساجد والمراكز، وخاصة هذا المسجد المركز التاريخي. اللهم تقبل جهود جميع الإخوة في هذا المكان. اللهم كن لنا ولا تكن علينا. انصر إخواننا المسلمين المظلومين في كل مكان. اللهم انصر إخواننا المسلمين في كل مكان وحرر أراضينا من أيدي المحتلين يا إله الكون يا رب العالمين. وارض اللهم عن جميع صحابة رضوان الله عليهم أجمعين، خاصة أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وجميع صحابة رضوان الله عليهم أجمعين، وعنا معهم بمنك وكرمك وجودك يا إله الكون يا رب العالمين. أقول قولي هذا استغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. وإقامة الصلاة.